So in today's video we're going to be working on this. This is an old Mantua Republic steel diesel switcher. So got this thing at Caboose Stop, as most of the other ones came from recently, and it doesn't run at all. Put it on the track, nothing happens. I don't think it has a light either, so we're going to be working on this one today. So with these, they're really easy to get apart. There's just the 4 screws, 2 on the back, 2 on the front, to take off, and the shell should come off. Now this one has been fitted with knuckle couplers, so somebody's worked on it a little bit, because this would have just come with horn hook couplers. It's a little bit older of an engine, so everything comes out. You can see the knuckle couplers there, and I think the fitting for the light, so it does have a light, and the fixture and everything is still there. So this probably would have gone to the light, I would assume. So I guess everything kind of comes apart. Not sure exactly how these actually work, these diesels. So it's got a little contact, make sure not to lose the screws. It's got a little contact for the insulated wheels on this one, so the wire's connected to it as well. There's a screw going to it. So we'll just unscrew that really quick. Which it doesn't seem to want to unscrew. So I got that unscrewed. The first thing we need to do is make sure that this motor actually works. I'm going to try and put some test wires up to the brushes themselves, just to see if anything happens at all, which who knows. And it seems to actually work pretty well. So main thing first, if you ever get a motor, or when you're ever taking apart a motor, usually what you want to do is make sure that the brushes, all the spaces between the brushes are clean. There's nothing in them, which can short the motor, is usually what happens. So in this case, you can see all of that's coming off on my finger. That was all in between one of the brush plates. So you can use any thin tool, usually something not very hard, something plastic is what you usually want to use. I use these dental flosser things, as you can see, just to clear out the ends. There are special tools that they make. I know like SMT Mainline uses those, but I just use the dental flossers, as they actually work really well. And as I can see, probably the reason that this is not working, and I noticed that when I ran it, it sparked a little bit, which this is probably the reason, because this can make a motor either start smoking, I've had that happen, run very inefficiently, that's also happened, and just, you can usually smell it. It has a smell of like ozone or burning commutator kind of stuff, and this will drastically help performance, and it'll extend the life of your motor. And as you can see, all of that was just in between the brush plates. All the stuff on my finger, that was all just in between the brush plates, so that is very good. So the next thing, probably we'll use some of the electrical spray. I will put this on here and then run the motor a little bit to get it cleared off of there. So with that, I just use that, cleans off the commutator a little bit, but once you run it, you do want to oil the motor right after, because that gets rid of oil and everything, that cleaner. So we use this on the brushes, or don't use the oil on the brushes, just use them on the bearings, and the gears you can use the oil on as well. So we will do that really quick. Another good thing to do with motors and all the different wires is these contacts here. Once they're off, you might want to sand them a little bit, just to make sure there is the best contact surface available for them. With these little contacts on the wheels, it's probably a good idea to put some of the cleaner on the moving parts, so if there is any kind of debris or anything in them, it will get all the dirt and oil and hair out of them. Like, that's already moving a lot better than it was, because they were pretty stiff. They're probably gummed up with like oil and that kind of thing, because they do have springs on them, but it's hard telling if how well this thing would run. Well, obviously it didn't run. The motor was actually not in too bad a shape when I first tested it, but obviously there's something going on with that. And these contacts will also need to be cleaned as well. As you can see right here, they are kind of dirty, so I will see if this will work at all. And you can always sand these as well if they are corroded or anything, which this probably needs it. And we use just a little bit of sandpaper and kind of sand those down till they're shiny. And that's probably all that it really needs with those, trying to get the lighting right on this. I think that's a little bit better, but just to sand down these, and really we could probably start putting this thing back together. So after several minutes of my own incompetence, I've got the light holder back in. So the light bulb does work. I tested it, and the way that the light bulb goes in is there's a screw with that brass holder, as you can see, and there is a contact that goes underneath it. Now the screw is extremely tiny. As you can see, this is the smallest screwdriver that I have, and that's what needs to be used to put it in. And you have to hold the brass contact with a pair of pliers, because it's really hard to get your hand in there to actually put the holder and the screw where it needs to go. And there's the contact with the wire connected to it going underneath of the contact. And the wire is just short enough where it's annoying to actually try and get it all the way to the place that it needs to go. But I got it in there, so now the only thing left to do is put the actual engine back in. So the engine just goes back together quite tricky the way it does. So let's see if I can figure out how this thing goes. So the shell has one of the pieces, and the body has another piece. So make sure the contacts on the one side go to the right spot, and then this part here, and jeez, I don't know how they did this at the factory all the time. Probably got the hang of it eventually, but the first few times I was like, it's like, geez, you would think this would be really hard. So let's see if I can get this thing back in, because they do have it's mainly these. It's because it's 4 pieces, that's why it's so tricky. And they all fit together like a puzzle. So let's see. There's one piece. There we go. So that's back in, I think. Something's not fitting together quite right. There we go. Now it's back together, and the rest, all we have to do now is just put the screws back in. So those go in as normal. And then we'll take it over to the track. So I'm going to say hopefully this works, because be nice. Oh, I had something. There we go. I'd say that works pretty well. Probably have to let it run around just like pretty much every engine. I'd say if you do get an engine fixed, let it run around a little while. That's the best thing that can, that's really the best thing for it, is that let them run around. But this one seems to be running not too bad. It's such a tiny little engine too, it looks super strange. But I'll probably have to oil that thing up a little more and let it run around. But other than that, I'd say that's probably going to do it for this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.